The Austin Police Union says the department should stop responding to mental health calls.
What led to the call for massive change for APD?
Plus, President-elect Donald Trump could change his pick for defense secretary. What his current choice is saying to federal lawmakers to hold on to that nomination.
And a dreary day continues. As you can tell, we're still seeing some drizzle in certain spots, but when can everything clear up? We have more coming up in your First Warning Weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
I believe the Austin Police Department must stop responding to mental health calls.
The president of Austin's police union calling for drastic change now that a former officer is facing prison time for a shooting death that started out as a mental health call back in 2019. A judge sentenced Christopher Taylor to 2 years in prison earlier this week for killing Maurice Da Silva. At the time, Da Silva was having a mental health crisis.
Da Silva was walking around his condo complex with a knife to his neck, and Taylor was among the officers that took an elevator to the floor where Da Silva was. The doors opened to the man standing feet away. Police ordered him to drop the knife, and he did not. Taylor and another officer ultimately shot and killed him. KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez is joining us live here in studio this afternoon with more on the union's reaction to all of this.
Yes, there's been a variety of reactions to Taylor's sentencing, but one of the strongest that we're seeing is from the police union. Now, their response has been one of the strongest. President Michael Bullock posted the union's response on social media yesterday, the same day the department formally terminated Taylor after his sentencing. Taylor is currently out on an appellate bond. Now, this case brought up a lot of questions, big ones being how officers handle these kinds of calls and if Taylor followed protocol and training. Bullock had harsh words for Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza, saying this case was a biased attack for political gain. Bullock effectively said in the video that if the DA's office can do a better job at policing, he welcomes them to take on mental health calls.
We have never claimed to be mental health experts, yet we are continually scrutinized for our handling of these situations. Now that we're left with the options of being stabbed or going to prison, Travis County and the district attorney's office should be the ones who incur the risk, since they know the best tactics and methods protecting the public.
We reached out to the DA's office asking for its reaction to the police union's push to no longer have officers respond to mental health calls. A spokesperson with the DA's office did not directly answer our question, but did send us this statement. In this case, the Travis County jury heard all the evidence, and Mr. Taylor was sentenced by a Travis County judge. Respect for the criminal justice process is a cornerstone of our democracy, and it is unfortunate that the APA has chosen not to respect the jury verdict in this case. In Travis County, no one is above the law, regardless of profession, income, or class. Now, we also reached out to the Austin Police Department for a response. We will let you know as soon as we hear back. Mercedes Hernandez, KXAN News. Will?
Mercedes, thanks so much. Going in depth now, if Austin police were to stop responding to mental health calls, here's a snapshot of the potential impact. We had a chance to look at the data from the City of Austin's APD mental health first response incidents. The most recent data this year, starting from January through the end of October, shows there were 28,558 incidents. Of those, no officers were injured or killed. Data does show, though, that the one subject was either injured or killed. The top 3 types of initial incidents were welfare check calls, followed by disturbance incidents and trespassing.
First Warning Weather.
We are taking you live outside over downtown Austin, where it's getting less cloudy by the minute, but is that going to continue? Freddie Vela has been tracking this rainy weather that we've been seeing.
We've been talking about drizzle and light showers. I've been showing you a bunch of cameras that have had drizzle on it. Now I want to show you guys one that doesn't, because not everyone is getting the same amount of rainfall that we've been seeing. And this one out of our Barron Creek's Vineyard out in Fredericksburg. We do have the dark clouds there, but no drizzle here. this area has been pretty dry almost all morning long. There have been a few little isolated showers and a little bit of drizzle that has come down. But as you can tell, this is what it's been for over the past hour and a half. An update here with temperatures. Austin now at 56 degrees. It took about an hour just to move up that 1 degree mark. And thanks to the rain starting to subside just a tad, we actually could hit 60 degrees now, but we'll continue to monitor that. Fredericksburg still about 52 degrees, Llano at 61, Burnett at around 54 degrees, and San Marcos at 55 degrees. Satellite and radar at this point still seeing some of the clouds here, a lot of low-lying clouds. That's giving us some mist out there. And then, of course, I was mentioning that drizzle earlier. Now, as we look at our holiday forecast over the next couple of days, today around 59 to 60 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. For tomorrow, about 53 degrees, because remember, we have that front that's going to be coming in. And as we get into Saturday, 52 degrees with the chance of rain continuing. So what are we going to be talking about? Well, the rain chances. We're going to be talking about the fronts that are coming in and, of course, your weekend forecast, because not only are we seeing cooler weather, but the rain returning and pretty decently, might I add. We'll have all that coming up in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thank you. President-elect Donald Trump's team is reportedly considering alternatives for defense secretary.
This all comes as his pick to lead the Pentagon faces questions about his personal conduct. Washington correspondent Maddie Beer-Temple reports on his efforts to hold on to that nomination.
Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth will be back on Capitol Hill meeting with senators today. He posted on X Wednesday that he won't back down.
Great meetings with all the senators.
Defense Secretary pick Pete Hegseth is working to assure senators he's fit to lead the Pentagon. The former Fox News host and Army veteran faces a sexual assault accusation, which he denies, and reports alleging intoxication at previous jobs.
If the president wants him to be Secretary of Defense, then people ought to give him a shot.
Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he hasn't yet met with Hegseth, but thinks he should at least get a hearing.
Let him take the oath, let him answer all of his questions.
North Dakota Senator Kevin Kramer has met with Hegseth.
Yeah, it went well. It was frank.
He says Hegseth addressed some of his concerns.
And he said, my commitment is to not touch alcohol while I'd have this position. I'm ready to get him in front of the committee.
But Democrats like Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal have doubts he'll make it to a hearing.
My prediction is we won't be talking about him by Monday.
Blumenthal says concerns about personal conduct and experience could sink the confirmation.
I have heard from 5 to 10 Republicans who have told me this nomination should be done.
Now, Hegseth would need a simple majority, 51 senators, to vote to confirm him. That leaves just 4 Republicans who could deny his confirmation, assuming all Democrats vote against him. In Washington, I'm Maddie Beer-Temple.
Improvements to the city's homeless services are on the way. At the Public Safety Commission meeting yesterday, the city shared an update on the progress. The number of people leaving the marshalling yard and entering into permanent housing doubled over the last year, increasing from 15% to 30%. Operations at the marshalling yard may be extended to the end of the 2025 fiscal year. The Homeless Strategy Office will seek approval from the City Council next week to amend its contract with Family Endeavors, a rapid rehousing office. There will also be a new intake procedures at other city shelters. For details on what those involve, you can head to our website, KXAN.com. There is a new resource aimed at helping people who are homeless and living off the grid.
It's a hotline that will be at the Sunrise Navigation Center, and it'll try to connect different facilities that have been created to help the homeless. Places like North and Southbridge shelters, the Marshalling Yard, the Arch, and 8th Street shelters. The hope is to reach people living in some of the hardest places for homeless service providers to access.
It provides a kind of an always-on access point for people who are experiencing homelessness to be able to call and get information and to be able to do all of the things that they would do at an in-person location.
To note, there is a limit to the number of people who can access the shelters. The wait list closes once it reaches 200 people, but it reopens when it reaches 50 people.
Going in depth now, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is currently suing the Sunrise Navigation Center. He says it's putting the neighborhood at risk with its practices. The Attorney General's office called the center a magnet for drug and criminal activity and highlighted its proximity to an elementary school. The lawsuit claims there is drug use in front of children, violence, and public urination. The center claims it helped nearly 11,000 people last year and served almost 80,000 meals. The man who runs the center said it's trying to be a good neighbor. He added that as a faith-based ministry of Sunrise Community Church, he believes their services are legally protected.
We are taking a live look from our KXAN weather cam out over downtown Austin. No more raindrops on the camera, but we do still see those clouds. Freddie is tracking our forecast for us, and he'll have that coming up in just a couple of minutes.
We do want to pass a warning on this afternoon as holiday packages are going out to homes all across Central Texas. Both UPS and FedEx are expected to deliver and return roughly 2.2 billion packages between now and New Year's Eve. All of that is leading to thieves watching your doorstep closely. KXAN's Barrett Tryon takes a closer look at how to avoid falling victim.
There was a bunch of boxes dumped over the fence.
Corin Ganny was not the victim of porch pirates. Instead, she found other people's deliveries ripped wide open behind her house.
It's frustrating, but it's also a little unnerving because, you know, this is your street, this is your neighborhood.
Unfortunately, it is a common sight this time of year, thieves taking advantage of shopping delivered to your doorstep. Website security.org estimates 58 million packages were stolen last year, resulting in more than $12 billion in goods stolen. All hope is not lost. There are options to avoid becoming a victim. Amazon, for example, lets you provide specific instructions to delivery drivers, telling them where to hide a package so it's out of view. In some areas, you can even have them delivered inside your garage for a small fee. You can also choose to have Amazon packages delivered to Whole Food stores or one of the 25,000 locker locations across the U.S. Amazon also suggests you pick a delivery day when you know you'll be home. Share the tracking information with a family member or friend, and consider installing a video doorbell.
Especially during the Christmas season, what is this? Where's generosity? Where is compassion? Where is brotherly love?
A few simple things we can all do to be a little smarter this holiday season. In Austin, Barrett Tryon, KXAN News.
If you do end up having a package stolen, there are quite a few options for you depending where the purchase came from. We included some ways to help get your money back or have the goods replaced inside Barrett's story, which you can find on KXAN.com.
'Tis the season for it, unfortunately.
It definitely is a reminder as we are ordering more and more right now. I still have holiday packages and gifts to order, so something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I've tried not to online shop altogether because I'm like, you know what? Let's just avoid it.
Maybe
that's a good approach.
Maybe handcraft your gifts.
Yeah, homemade. I'm not crafty enough for that, but that's a good thought. That's a great thought.
For those of you who can, there you go.
Go for it. We love
it. But something I don't have to hand make because Mother Nature provides is weather. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've been experiencing over the past couple of hours. Clouds and radars still showing all the cloud coverage. That has not changed, and it looks like it's going to stick around for just a bit longer. Zoom out a bit more, and really no actual rain or fall, just drizzle that's been falling, a little bit of mist as well as we have some low-lying clouds across Central Texas, but Lubbock into Dallas, mostly partly cloudy out there. Current temperatures right now, 52 degrees in Fredericksburg, 57 in Mason, 61 in Llano, but Austin now up 1 more degree. Looks like we could break that 60-degree mark after all for Austin and out towards the east. Looks like out towards the west may struggle just a bit more as you get out towards Fredericksburg, Blanco, and down in San Marcos. This evening, we should be at about 59 by 5 p.m. By 7 p.m. around 56, with 9 p.m. at around 53 degrees. So with the drizzle still sticking around just for a couple of hours longer, what does that look like now? Well, the front is still expected to arrive later on this evening, and I'll show you a wider map that shows the front coming in. But overall, moisture should be returning for tomorrow. Friday morning, it's going to be chilly. We have the return of rainfall one more time. That continues all the way through Saturday. We continue that out even into into Sunday. So look at your high temperatures. The front comes in. We're down to 53, which is now going to be a drop from where we're at now. And by Saturday, 52 as a high before we start to warm up one more time above average, which is 66 degrees around this time. There's the front. It pushes through, all the cold air comes in, and then moisture returns once again. We have a low that'll develop, and that should push farther out towards the east. And as that next front approaches, that'll push any of the rain that we're seeing really out as we get into Monday and Tuesday. So what about football Friday? Well, Westlake and Lake Travis, they're taking each other on this Friday itself. It's still going to be chilly out there. 47 degrees for the time, for kickoff time, 46 for halftime, and 45 for the fourth quarter. So how much rain are we actually going to receive over the next couple of days? Well, we could see up to an inch of rain for the hill country and leading into the metro, and then about an inch to 2 inches of rain as you get out towards the eastern counties. Your 7-day forecast, 59 to 61 for today, 53 as we get out towards tomorrow, 52 for the game on Saturday, and by Sunday, 66. Rain chances start to go away, 78 degrees by Monday. The front comes in, and we're back down into the 50s and 60s for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Today, executives from 5 major U.S. airlines are facing a grilling from senators over so-called junk fees that Senate investigators say are driving record profits for airlines at the expense of the public who are traveling.
Some of those senators are focusing on those extra fees, in particular what travelers are paying to pick a seat on top of what they already paid for the ticket. On Wednesday, airline executives from Delta, United, American, Spirit, and Frontier all appeared on Capitol Hill. Last month, a Senate subcommittee released a scathing report, essentially accusing the major U.S. airlines of ripping off travelers. Senate investigators say the airlines are raking in billions of additional dollars from those add-on fees, things like choosing a preferred seat, checking a bag, or even boarding early. They say these extra fees obscure the true cost of a ticket for a paying customer.
Investigators also say some airlines are skirting federal taxes by labeling some of those add-on services as non-taxable, which lawmakers say should be taxed. But airlines contend every extra fee is voluntary. They say buying a base fare ticket will get you the transportation you want, and the purchase of any additional or premium services like more legroom or a roomier seat is completely voluntary. An airline trade association called the Senate report deeply disappointing. But lawmakers in turn say the airlines are taking advantage of their passengers.
They feel, with more than understandable justification, that they are piggy banks to be shaken down by these skyrocketing fees.
Any American passenger can fly on any of our flights at any time without paying any fees at all.
While we do charge ancillary fees for a limited number of products or services, many of our customers do not pay any ancillary fee whatsoever.
Some of the lawmakers say they want the federal government to review the airline charging practices and potentially impose fines on them.
The Federal Trade Commission is taking action against Evolve Technologies for allegedly deceiving users about its AI-powered security screening systems. Evolve has touted its Express AI-powered security scanners as being able to detect weapons and ignore harmless personal materials and items included in school settings. It says they are more accurate, faster, and cheaper than a traditional metal detector. However, the FTC said in a filing that the Massachusetts-based company misrepresented the technology and that the scanners had failed in several instances to detect weapons in schools like knives, and instead had flagged harmless personal items like laptops, binders, and water bottles. The agency is proposing Evolve be banned from making certain claims about the capabilities of its weapons detectors and must offer schools across the country the ability to cancel their contracts.
As families gather for the holiday season, it's a good opportunity to check on senior family members, especially for changes that could indicate the onset of Alzheimer's or dementia. Because these conditions often develop slowly, changes may be more obvious after spending time apart. Early signs of dementia can include memory loss, confusion, difficulty keeping up in conversation. They may also cause some to neglect their hygiene or wear clothing that's not suitable for the weather. If you have to bring up the subject with your family member, experts also recommend you try and be gentle.
Being calm and understanding and just, asking them open-ended questions. How are you feeling? Are you noticing any changes with your memory? How are you keeping up with your daily task?
While everyone experiences changes as they age, agitation and personality changes can also indicate their symptoms are not just from aging, but are coming from Alzheimer's or dementia. Testing from a healthcare professional can help you and your family be sure.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A legalized component of marijuana could become banned again in Texas.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick plans to ask lawmakers during the legislative session next year to ban all forms of THC in the state. According to our partners at the Texas Tribune, he made that announcement yesterday. Texas lawmakers authorized the sale of consumable hemp back in 2019. Hemp and marijuana are both cannabis plants with different levels of THC.
Patrick says retailers are abusing the law, he believes. He says they are using loopholes to market products with unsafe levels of THC, including to minors. Keep in mind the legislature reconvenes on January 14th. Texas appears closer than ever to passing an education savings account, or ESA, program.
That would allow families here to use state taxpayer dollars to pay for their children's private school tuition. Governor Greg Abbott is calling for universal school choice, which would allow Texas families to use a state account for their education expenses. Last year, the Texas Senate passed a $500 million legislative bill. It would have given an $8,000 tuition credit to families. 90% of that would be for low-income and disadvantaged students. However, that bill ended up not passing the entire legislature. The bill's author, though, State Senator Brandon Creighton, plans to try again this next session. And Democratic lawmakers are already saying they plan to fight back.
If they allow for a universal voucher, we're going to have millionaires and billionaires raiding our public education budget. We'll be taking money from working class kids all over the state.
I'm very optimistic that ESAs and school choice, that education freedom will pass this time around.
Senator Creighton, whom you just heard from there, also says that lawmakers will pass a budget increase for public schools and a pay raise for public school teachers. Those are two measures that failed last session amid the disagreement over education savings accounts.
For some insight here, there are concerns about using tax dollars to pay for private school. One is, as you heard there, over the impact on small public school districts that could lose students. Meanwhile, others believe passing the bill could give children access to better education and parents more control.
For us to take our public tax dollars and underwrite private schools, any private school, but especially a religious school, is wrong.
If we were to lose 5 or 10 kids even in a small school district, we're going to get impacted on a very large level here, even in Bartlett. Whereas 5 or 10 kids in Temple or 5 or 10 kids in Belton or Killeen wouldn't make hardly that much of an impact.
I remember being one of those students who was not reading on grade level, who had a bleak future, and thanks to education choice, that changed for me.
I'm here with hundreds of other parents. They want to be empowered with the freedom to make the best educational choices for their own children.
Last year, Governor Greg Abbott called 4 legislative special sessions with school choice as one of the top priorities. Lawmakers, though, were unable to make a deal, which in turn killed an $800 million education package. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold a Tennessee ban on gender-affirming care for minors. The case before the justices could impact similar laws in half the country, along with a range of other efforts to regulate the lives of transgender people.
Both sides of that case say they want to protect minors from harm, but they have different views on how to accomplish that. Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor breaks down the arguments.
Parents of transgender children crowded the U.S. Supreme Court to push back on Tennessee's ban on minors receiving gender transition-related medical care.
They should mind their own business. This is our child.
Jolene Galpin says her transgender daughter deserves access to this care for her physical and mental health.
Gender-affirming care is life-saving for transgender youth.
But Buzz Webb argues it would have ruined her life.
I look back and have no idea what 57
7-year-old me would look like today had they put me on puberty blockers and done unnecessary surgeries.
Webb says transitioning would have stolen her fertility and caused medical issues like blood clots and tumors.
That's what they're doing to an entire generation of gay kids.
Inside, based on the justices' questions, the 3 liberals seemed firmly on the side of the families who are challenging the Tennessee law, while the 6 conservatives seemed skeptical of their argument.
No matter what happens, we will keep fighting.
Chase Strangio became the first openly transgender lawyer to make arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court as he represented the families.
The Constitution protects trans people just like it protects everyone else.
But Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti defended his state's law.
The evidence shows that the large majority of kids dealing with gender dysphoria will grow out of it unless they're put on these medications.
Skrmetti could not say, though, how many Tennessee kids would be impacted by the ban. In Washington, I'm Jesse Chnor.
First warning weather.
We want to take a live look now over downtown Austin, where I feel like these clouds have been receding all day, but I know Freddie's been tracking this rainy weather for us.
Yeah, it is nice to see a few raindrops out there, but I'm looking at the map behind you, Freddie, and it's maybe not going to make much of an impact on the drought.
Yeah, unfortunately, our drought has been expanding just a bit more, and it's only been in certain spots that we've actually seen this. But this is our current drought monitor. It was released this morning at around 7:30. I want to show you the difference between this week and last week, and you may look at it and say, well, there doesn't seem to be too much of a difference, but there is. Look over in San Saba, where you see more dry conditions last week, and you see some of the more brownish colors starting to come in. That's moderate, starting to expand as well. And then another area that we've been watching is farther out towards Giddings, going into LaGrange, and then moving into Bastrop. We're starting to see the severe conditions starting to extend a bit more down there as well. So the rainfall that we've received so far and what we're going to receive over the next couple of days doesn't seem like it's going to make that much of an impact. Here's a live look at our Indeed camera in the Domain. Still seeing the cloud coverage across pretty much everywhere. Temperatures are already starting to rise, but not by much. 57 degrees in Austin right now, 55 in San Marcos, 53 in Fredericksburg, 58 in Georgetown, Bastrop now at 60 degrees. This map doesn't show you too much other than we have cloud coverage, but there are still pockets of drizzle, pockets of low-lying clouds. We're getting some of that mist within the areas. We do have rain chances increasing once again from Friday into Saturday and into Sunday, and that's behind a front that's going to be coming in. In fact, we're going to be talking about that front, our next 2 fronts actually, the rain chances over the weekend and what to expect as we get to the beginning of next week.
Freddie, thanks for tracking it for us. A massage business in North Austin is shut down because the state says it may be conducting human trafficking.
The Department of Licensing and Regulation did an on-site inspection at the JT Spa on FM 620 after getting a complaint from a customer. Inspectors say they found out that people were living at the business, so TDLR ordered the spa to shut its doors for 6 months. The department has issued 16 similar emergency orders across the state since September of last year.
The vast majority of these cases where we have issued emergency orders, the owners of the establishments have opted to get out of the massage business and the massage industry in Texas.
The department says closing the massage business for 6 months gives its investigators more time to do its work. KXAN reached out to the business, and we have not heard anything back yet.
The Biden administration is offering more than $20 million to shore up local government's wildfire response efforts. The money will go towards converting vehicles into wildland fire engines. It's all a part of Biden's Investing in America agenda. These vehicles are meant to help small agencies and emergency responders respond faster to fires. And this comes after major blazes really burned millions of acres across the country this year, with Texas seeing its worst fire in state history in the Panhandle. Local governments can receive grants of $10,000 to up to $500,000.
President-elect Donald Trump is promising hikes on tariffs on certain goods from Mexico, Canada, and China. But what exactly is a tariff, and how is it supposed to help the economy? Washington correspondent Basil John reports on what the experts had to say about this and what Americans can expect as well.
I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America.
One of President-elect Donald Trump's major campaign promises is instituting sweeping tariffs on the U.S.'s largest trading partners to fight illegal immigration and drug flow.
25% on Mexico, 25% on Canada, and 10% additional on China.
But why is President-elect Trump pushing for these tariffs, and how do they work? George Washington University professor Rodney Lake explains.
If you're producing cars in Mexico and you're trying to encourage people to buy U.S. cars, how can I, as the government, raise the prices? Well, I can put a tariff on those goods.
Lake says the goal is to bolster domestic industries in the U.S., but he warns these tariffs will hit Americans' wallets almost immediately.
You can see these higher prices because it's unlikely, for example, that these companies are going to take these big, detriments to their bottom line. They're going to pass that along.
These tariffs will impact the price of raw materials like steel, plastic, and crude oil from Canada, cars and car parts from Mexico, and electronics like smartphones and computers from China. Lake says the U.S. needs more time to build up its domestic production.
You're talking about years before you're going to have a direct impact on the domestic production of those items.
However, Lake believes President-elect Trump may use this as a negotiating tactic to bring these countries to the table to reach an agreement that will benefit all parties. Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
Hopefully you are making your plans to see the 2 million lights that will dazzle at this year's Trail of Lights Festival in Austin. So we want to make your experience a little more pleasant with a transportation guide. You can take a look at this. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to visit the Winter Wonderland at Zilker Park. A limited number of pre-purchased parking passes are available, but we do want to warn you, all parking must be paid for in advance. It is $25 per car and $35 to park at Austin High School. There are rideshare options like Cap Metro and Trail of Light shuttles. Some roads near Zilker will be closed as well. And so we've got all the details on those closures and those rideshare prices. Kelsey Thompson breaks it all down in that guide on KXAN.com.
And this year you have the option to either walk through Trail of Lights or take the Zilker Eagle mini train through parts of the holiday display. That train is going to run from 6 to 9:30 in the evening and will cost the same as regular daylight hours. The tickets are on a first-come, first-served basis at the train depot right by the playground at Zilker Park. By the way, the Trail of Lights runs from December 10th through December 23rd. Many of you have probably put up your Christmas lights and maybe even some holiday decorations already, but for those who have not, there are some things you want to consider to have a safe and fire-free holiday. When it comes to setting lights for the holidays, make sure to inspect those wires and the lights. Cover outside outlets with weatherproofing to prevent any water or snow coming in, as it could potentially start a fire as well. If you also have an artificial Christmas tree, make sure it is fire resistant and regularly water your live ones. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, about 15,000 people suffered holiday decorating related injuries just last year. What's on tap for y'all's houses? Do you have everything up at this point?
The inside is fully, Christmased out. We have not touched the outside yet. So those are good tips.
But
I need to keep those in mind. Yeah.
I may not decorate this year. I don't know. I have put up, I have put up a Christmas stitch, if that counts. He has a little hat on.
Oh,
that's cute though.
That's the closest I've gotten to decorating anything.
Been a little busy.
Yeah, been a little busy right now. Here's something else that you guys should check out other than Christmas lights is our winter outlook. That's taking place tonight at 10 p.m. Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon and Morning Meteorologist Kristen Curry will be presenting to you the First Warning Weather Team's winter outlook. So be sure to tune in for that tonight at 10 p.m. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast one last time. 59 for today. That front comes in tonight, and that'll bring our temperatures down to 40 degrees, even some 30s out there for tomorrow morning. And as we start to see rain chances return tomorrow through Saturday and Sunday. And by Monday, we're looking at 78 degrees before the next front drives our temperatures down once again.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching here this afternoon. We'll see you back in about half an hour with another update on the news and the weather. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.